I'm going to make this as quick as possible because I'm running out of time. I ain't even got a watch on today. Okay. What is more important, training or tools? In the last video, which you can see right here, we ended up talking about the importance of knowing who you're listening to and what kind of impact that has on you. And so in this video, I want to make it very clear why it is not an either or on training or tools. It is a both and. A little bit unscripted today, so I hope the point is made very clear for you, but I think I have a really good understanding as to why. And in both of these, training and tools, I actually have 3 subpoints as to why each of them are equally important, and you'll know what to do with them by the end of this video, so stick around to the end. So with training, what it does is offer, I'm going to list them as 3 C's, okay? One of them is competence, one of them is consistency, and the other is confidence. Okay. These are important because at the end of the day, once an employee leaves your business, and that includes you, that you would feel associated so strongly to the brand that you wouldn't misrepresent that brand off the clock, right? I don't want employees who work for me getting sloshed at the bar with my logo on them. Okay, that's a misrepresentation of who we are as a brand. Okay, and the reason why I'm saying this is because culture is something that we find to be very important in business, and we tout it because we know it's the right thing to say. But a lot of times just off the data alone, attrition is disgusting. Attrition, meaning like turnover, is disgusting across different business verticals. And a lot of that has to deal with not having good culture implemented. The other 3 things on tools that I'm going to talk about today are going to have to deal with intimacy, not the kind you're thinking. We'll also have efficiency and proficiency. And so by the end of this video, you'll know how these 2 tie together well. But it's important to lay the premise, right? And the reason why I think you need to understand why culture may sound important and it may be important, and you know it's the right thing. The reason it's done wrong is because we're unaware of the culture shock we are baptizing people into. Okay. If somebody has never worked in a call center before, and maybe they come from a mechanic shop, their expertise is completely different than the field that they're being introduced to. And so understanding that someone is now telling them when to take a break, how long that break should be, call times, those things can be, in a sense, shocking to someone who's only worked with their hands in an auto body, mechanic shop. And this isn't to say that that person isn't extremely skilled or doesn't have excellent potential ahead of them, especially with the right training and tools provided. But what I want to address again is the culture that we say that we're trying to keep, make, uphold, that we're family. It's not always true. And so my encouragement to you is to make it true. Okay, when we say we care about people like family,
You don't think about our family.
we should. And so you should know about my family if you care about me like family. You should be asking me questions if I work with you, relevant to like how my kids are, how the life is with my wife. And the reason why that may not seem as professional to some people is because you've tried the whole leave it at the door. And I would like to make the case that if you stub your toe before you walk into the business to clock in, it still hurts, dude. And so it doesn't all of a sudden go away physically. Why do we think emotional pain all of a sudden goes away? Okay. I am not advocating for somebody to get on the phones and start boo-hooing to my customers. Okay. What I am saying is that if they're boo-hooing, that's affecting the way that they serve those customers. So maybe it's our job as leaders, as business owners, and as the tip of the spear, maybe you're neither of those, but you are a diligent professional within your trade, that you would understand that extreme ownership falls back upon you as well. Everything falls back upon leadership. And even if your leadership within the organization is failing you, you must still lead yourself. Okay. So here's what I mean. If, Joey is going through something in his personal life that he's trying to leave at the door, and he gets there, he puts a smiley face on, there's only so long that he can uphold that. First of all, dealing with, say, the rejection that might come from his work, or the heartache that might come from his work, becoming disgruntled and not having an outlet for that. to where when he leaves the job, he then picks up the emotional pack he left at the door and brings the emotional pack from work with him back home. Him and his wife end up having a problem that ends up affecting, again, the cycle of his ability to perform on the job. So if we care about people like family, and we should, then we ought to act on that as such and not use our own personal dysfunctional relationship with our immediate family as the premise. So let me get back to the meat of this video, right? The two things, training and tools. Training, the three things that I mentioned, right, has to deal with competence, okay, consistency, and confidence. Why does this matter? Because if the agent is not competent on the system that he's on, then he's going to feel some type of way about using it. It's very unfamiliar. And when it comes to asking questions, he may feel as if he's showing incompetence to management if he has to re-ask something that was taught on the onboarding. Especially if it's some time before he has to use it. Maybe he's by skill alone able to make it so long. When he has to reference that system again, he might feel silly for having to ask, hey, how do I get here again? So one of the things that I want to encourage you to do is get your team competent on the system. As a trainer within a call center, one of the things that I did was actually teach people to not worry about remembering all the details of the packages that we were trying to sell or the price and the items that we're trying to sell. I actually want to teach you how to be resourceful within our internal Google. This way, when it comes to finding that data, you know how to find it. And as data gets updated, you're able to keep up with that. That's actually where the case is. And then it makes them more confident to tell them, I don't know, to the customer, I don't know, let me look that up. So it's a great way to help empower them to be competent in how to be resourceful. The second thing has to deal with consistency. If I'm competent at doing something, then I have no problem doing it over and over again. So it helps them build the muscle of repetition, which sometimes it doesn't matter how much I study how to swing the bat, I need the at-bats. And if being at a batting cage gets me more comfortable to swing when I'm in the game and at the plate, then that's what I need to do, is get me comfortable going to the batting cages. So competence and consistency will then bring confidence. Because I know that I have cracked the ball, then now I know I have the ability to do so in game. And so that carries over, and there comes a point where assuming that you're of physical well-being, that when you get to the point of execution, there's only so much studying I can do, and then I actually have to then trust myself to be able to do it. So that trust is what is going to be transferred to the customer through the interaction. So it's important that I am confident as a rep, as a front-facing employee or a business owner, because I'm trying to transfer trust to the person that I'm trying to earn the business of. Hopefully you follow that. The next piece has to deal with training. Training has three components: intimacy, right? Efficiency, and proficiency. Let me break that down very quickly for you. Intimacy is dealing with knowing how the tool works. So the example I'd like to give is if I'm a video editor and I understand how a splice tool works, then I may go from Adobe Premiere to Final Cut or iMovie. But what matters is that I know what that tool does. So it may be unfamiliar territory going from one platform to the other, but I know what the tool in that platform does when I find it. Intimacy with the tools will help dictate their willingness to apply that piece of equipment or tool. So that's important. The other part has to deal with efficiency. So efficiency would be like me walking to the store versus me driving to the store, and the goal of not sweating as much as possible on the way there. So if I am going to sweat walking, then just getting in the car automatically means it's a more efficient way to get to the store with the target of not sweating. But if I run 10 laps around it, right? If I drive 10 laps around the store, that's not necessarily proficient. Efficient for the case of not sweating, not proficient. Proficient would also mean that I make it to the store in one trip in the first distance, as opposed to having to circle the building several times, even though circling the building prevents me from sweating the way that I would if I walked. So, excuse me. Whoops. Both of these are important, okay? Training and tools. I hope that you got the point from this short 10-minute video. And listen, it's not either or, it is a both and. You need both. And I'm happy to help you in implementing that. If you'd like to connect with me directly, maybe I'll drop a link in the description. But once you have a clarity on why you need both, the next thing you need to do is meet someone named Gabby. Gabi, Gabby. And if you want to know who she is and what she means to you, you're going to want to click this video right here. Trust me, you're going to need to know what this is in order to apply those two correctly. Why do you wait so long? Is it because you like seeing the end credits? I don't got end credits for you because I'm gone.